Code Afric. Unlock the future.
Welcome back to this beautiful and awesome lesson. Guys, on our previous lesson, we were able to build this nice testimonial section, which is our review with the slider and everything moving awesome. All right. So we are moving forward and we are going to build this section, which is the frequent asked question, okay, with the help of what is called accordion. Okay. So you can see that when we click on this one, it opens. Okay, it opens and you can put a question here and you answer them here. Okay, and you can open the first one, it closes the first one. When you open the second one, it closes the first one. When you open this one, it closes the next one, and it animates nicely. You can see how it spins. It spins nicely. And when you open it, it turns to minus, and when you close it, it turns to plus. Okay, you can see we are going to do all this with the help of accordion. Now, when you're talking about accordion, I don't mean a musical instrument, okay, whereby it looks like organ where you squeeze it in and out. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm talking about accordion in Bootstrap. So when we come to Bootstrap and come to the component section, then we come to collapse. Okay, we're going to click on collapse and you scroll down. When you scroll down, you can see accordion example here. Okay, so when you click on this one, you can see that when you click on it, it opens. When you click on this one, it opens, then the first one closes. When you click on this one, it opens, then the second one closes. That is what accordions looks like, and that's how it acts. Okay, so if you're ready as I'm ready, let's dive in. Now you scroll down and begin with the comments. Okay, and again, comments are your friends, so you have to love using comments in your projects. Okay, all right, so I'll call the comment frequent asked question, which is FAQ, starts, and we'll end it here. Okay, all right, awesome. Now let me start with a section, and let's give it a class of FAQ. Okay, frequent asked question, which has not been defined. We would later define it. All right, so inside here, I will need a container. So I'll create a div with a class container, and inside the container, I will need a row. Okay, and again, container always works with a row. Okay, now let's work on the grade system. So I'll do column MD, then I'll give it 12. So I want it to cover the full width. Then inside here is where I'm going to create my header. So I'll do the H2. I'll say general frequent asked questions. All right, now let me create a class which has not been defined yet. So I'll do div with it. All right, so I'll call it subheading. And inside that is where I'm going to put my test, which is here. You can ask the question regarding the issues. We will solve that together. Now I'll copy and bring them here. All right, let me indent it nicely, and afterward I'll break it here. All right, let me make this one bold. Okay, let me use the B tag to bold the H2. Close it here. Okay, awesome. Let's align it vertically at the center, in the test center, something like this. Awesome. Now let's check it. Let's save it and check it to our project. There we go. It's looking awesome. All right. Now you can see that we need some more margin here. Okay. Let me put some line break. Okay. Now let's check. Awesome. All right. All right. So I would like to also add more margins at the bottom. Likewise. So I'll give it a line break 3 times also here. Now inside here, let's work on our accordion. Okay. And I will begin with a div class container. And again, once I create a container, I will need a row. All right, now I'll create another class. Let's work on the grade system. So I'll do column MD and I will do 7. Now why 7? And if you can remember the grade system, Bootstrap grading system, each row like this, there's a 12 row for each layout. So this layout has a 12 rows. So this full width of the screen is 12. So I am making here 7 so that here will be remaining 5. With the remaining 5, I'll put this one and also I'll give some margin here. Okay. So I'm taking 7 here so that I will have extra 5 spaces here to put whatever I want to put. All right. So it is called a dynamic layout in Bootstrap. So I'll give it 7. Then inside I will create a div with a class. This time let me call this one panel group. And again, let's give it an ID. I'll give it an ID which has not been defined anywhere as accordion. All right. So let me call another class. This time I'm calling a predefined class from Bootstrap as a panel, and I'll give it a panel and I'll call the color. Okay, so this color I'm calling for a default, and the default color looks like a gray color. Okay, now let's save it and check. We will not have much, but I want to show you something. So when I scroll down, you can see that it's here. Okay, you can see that there's a gray line here, and you can see that it has not expanded to this place. Okay, it's because I gave it 7. From here to here is the 7, and it's remaining an additional 5 here. The spacing here is the 5. All right, that is the dynamic layout. But then when you check, we put it in a container, so it's supposed not to span to this level. Okay, that means there's an error in the code. So when I check from here, I can see that the container, there's a spelling error here. So I'll take off the A. Now let's check it again. Okay, and then also container, the A is supposed to be here. Okay, something like this. Now when we check it, we can see that we have it as expected. Okay, so this is supposed to be. Now inside the panel default class, let me create another class and name it panel. This time let's make it panel heading. Okay, and let's give it an ID. With this ID, I'll use it to style it. When I insert my anchor links, I'll use the ID to style it. Okay, so inside here is where I'm going to put my heading, my subheading, like this one. When you check this one. Okay, all right, so now I will need an h4 for the heading, and inside the h4 I'll first have to, I need a class, and I'll call the class panel title, and inside like this I will need an href, and inside here is where I'm going to put, inside the anchor tag is where I'm going to put this one. Okay, where I'm going to put the ratings here. So I'll say, do you have any question? All right, so I'll change the first one to what is code Afric all about. And let me change this one. Okay, the panel is not double N. All right, now let's check it. Let's save it and check it what we have. And this is what we have. Okay, all right. Now we have to make it clickable so that when you click on it, it will also responds. All right, so I have to give it a bootstrap class called collapse. Okay, so I'll do a bootstrap class called data toggling. Okay, and I'll set that to plugins data is called, I'll set that to jQuery plugin called collapse, like this. And again, data, not dates. Okay, data toggling. So data toggling, and I'll give it a data parent, and I'll set the data parent to accordion. And remember, this accordion is coming from here. Okay, remember we set an ID here, so I'm just referencing this ID. So because it is an ID, I'm using a hashtag. Okay, so with this one, it will make it clickable. When I click on it, it will trigger and it will open. And here I have to also give it the href. Let me pass in an ID also called collapse 1. Now, as at now, when you save and check, you can see that we have it here, but when you click on it, it will not take effect because we don't have any words in. Okay, so we have to go ahead and also do that one, so that when we click on it, it will trigger and it will open. All right, so I will come here. So when you check, this is where the heading starts and this is where it ends. So at the end of this heading, I'll come here, then I'll create another div. This one, I'm calling this ID. The ID that I created here, the collapse 1, I'm calling that ID. And I'll also give it a class of panel. Let me call it panel collapse. And I'll call collapse in. Collapse in means it would open. Okay, so with us, it would open always. The first one will be always open like this. Okay, you can see the first one is open like this. Now, if we take this collapse in, the panel will not open. Okay, the panel would be closed. When the page refresh, the panel will be closed. But when you do the collapse in, the panel would automatically be open whenever the page refreshes. Okay, all right. Now let me pass in some attributes called area. Then I'll call it labeled by. Okay, area labeled by. Then I'll give it heading 1. All right, so inside like this, I would still like to create a div with a class, and now I'll call it panel. I'll call it panel body. Okay, so it will contain all the panels at a go. So inside here is where I'll call my p tag, and inside the p tag is where I will put my test. All right, so I'll come here and copy this test, the Lorraine Zoom test here, and paste it. Now I have to indent it. Okay, so something like this. All right, now let's save it and check it. And awesome, you can see that we have it here. All right, now when we click on it, you can see how it closes and opens nicely like that. All right. All right, now from here, we only have to duplicate the code. Okay, so we will need it like 2 more times, making 3. And again, we are back to copy and paste. You have to be very, very vigilant in order not to make a lot of mistakes. Okay, so you can see that with the panel default, it starts from here and the diff ends here. So we are grabbing the code from here. Where does this end? Here. Okay, so I'll grab the code from here to here, panel default here like this. Now I'll copy and I'll come down like this and I'll paste something like this. Before I paste in the other one, let me check. Let's check it. Okay, you can see that it's here. See, the second one is not responding as expected. Okay, now let's change some few things here. So now with this one, heading 1, we will make it 2, heading 2, and this one also we change it to 2. Where again? This one, 2, this one, 2, heading 2. Now the collapse in for the second section, we don't need the collapsing. We don't want it to open automatic. Okay, now let's check it. Aha. Okay. Okay. All right. Now with the second one, I want to change the text here. Okay. The heading text. Okay, something like, do you have lessons on C++, Python, and Java? Now I'm putting this because we do have lessons on C++, Python, and Java, and JavaScript also as well in our master class. Okay, there are more. All right, now let's save it and check it and see how it applies. Okay, you can see that it's looking awesome here. Do you have lessons on C++, Python, and Java? Okay. Now I don't like the way and the manner this is responding. Okay. So I'll come to the code here, the second section. Okay, here I'll give it a class and I'll call collapse. I'll say collapse. Okay, something like this. Now let me check it. Collapse. Let me add the collapsed. Okay, something like this. All right. Anyway, so moving forward, we have to also duplicate this one to get it for the third time. All right. Let's check it from the original. Okay, so it is 4. Yeah, it's 4. So now that we are through with the 2, we need additional 2. All right. All right. So we go ahead and duplicate the code to get the 4 that we expecting. Okay. All right. So this time I'm copying the 2 section as a go. Before I will do that, let me zoom it out so that we will get it well. So you can see that it starts from the default. The panel default is here. That one ends here. And this one also starts from here and ends here. So we are highlighting from here to the default. Something like this. Now let's carefully copy from here and paste them in here. Before anything, let's check it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's indent it and also change the text and the classes. So this one is the 1 and this one is the 2. So here will be 3. And we will come to the 4th section. All right, now to the test here, let's change it to how do I participate in the How do I participate in the master class? And to the four, so the fourth will be how do I become an affiliate? Now let's check it. Okay. All right, now let's do some corrections here. Remember, this is the third one, so we don't need the collapse in, and therefore I'll need this class also. I'll need it here. Okay, I'll save it and let's check. All right, now what we do is that we are going to put an image here, okay, like this one. All right, we did an image here, and the remaining 5 layout that we left there. Right now, let's go ahead and insert our images. And to do that, remember we created the 7 columns here, so we left with 5 columns. Okay. So what we are going to do is that we are going to put our image inside this row. Okay, we are going to put it inside this row. So I'll click on this one. I said inside, or we can come to this place. Okay, so that at the end of this div will be inside the row. So when I click on this one, it has highlighted here for me. So I'll work in here inside. Okay, I hope you get it. All right, because we are working inside the row, it remains with our 5 column that we need to work with. Okay, all right, now inside here like this, I'll create my div with a class, and now I'm giving it a class of free image, which I've not defined yet. Now inside this free image, I'm creating another div with a class, then I'll give it column md, and I'll say 2. Okay, now why 2? Because when you check from the original, you can see the image is not going to cover all these 5 widths here. Okay, there are some margins here and margins here. All right, so I'm going to use an offset so that with these 5 columns, we will leave a margin here and we leave a margin here, and the image will cover 2 columns. Then there will be a margin here and a margin here. Okay, making the 5. All right, so I'll come here and do column md2. Then I'll give it a predefined class of Bootstrap called offset. And again, I hope you are familiar with offset. Now I'll give it offset 1. All right. Now let's go ahead and specify our image. So we do our img with the source, then we do img, then our image, I think is 3 font.png, something like this. Before anything, let's save it and check it. All right, awesome. So now you can see that our image has been nicely inserted. Okay. Now we can see that there's a margin here and there's a margin here. Because we give it an offset of 1, what it does is that we specify the layout here to be 2. The image will stay 2. The remaining 3 has been divided. Okay, so 1.5 here and 1.5 margin here, and it has been positioned nicely. All right, now let's end here, come back on the next one, and keep on with the styling. All right, welcome back. We are continuing. So now I'll come here. I would like us to do one correction before you move on. Now, with the first one, we give it a collapse, but here I want us to give it collapse. When you check from here, you can see by default, the remaining should not be opening. The first one only have to open like this, but when we refresh, we are not getting it as expected. You can see that all has been opened. So that is where I wanted us to look at and see how to fix that one. Okay. So for the first one, give it collapse in. For that one, it is understandable. The first one must open automatically. But the second one, it shouldn't open automatically. So sorry, not here. Now here, the panel collapse. Then let's add collapse and see. Now we say collapse, not collapse in, collapse. Okay, collapse. And let's do the same to the others. Okay, collapse in will open it, but collapse will not open it. Collapse in will open it automatically, but collapse would not do that. And with the fourth one, okay, now let's save it and check. Okay, when you check, okay, it left with the last one, which is the fourth one. Let's check it again. So we save collapse. Okay, now let's check it. This is what we're expecting. All right, you can see that only the first one opens. Now, what is happening to the third one? Let's check it. Oh, sorry, the third one we gave the collapse. No, it's supposed not to be here. Let's take this one out. It's here. Only collapse is here. It's okay. Now let's check it again. This is what we're expecting. All right, awesome. You can see that the first one has opened automatically, but the second and the rest, you have to click on it for it to open as expected. All right. Awesome. Now that everything is fine here, we can now step into our CSS and add more styling to it. So I'll come to my CSS at the bottom section down. Okay, so from here, let me take some wider space and I'll start with the comments. All right. So I'll start with the comments and I'll end it here. Okay. All right. Now inside our CSS, to begin with, I'd like to begin with the parent ID. Okay. I'll call this ID, which is the accordion. That is the main ID. Okay. And I'll come to the child and call the panel, which is the class. So it will be hash ID and dot class. All right. All right. Back to our CSS. So like I said before, we will start with a hash, then we call our accordion, then we call the class panel. Now inside this, I'll call the box shadow. I'll give it a box shadow property of none. We don't want any box shadow and we don't want any border, and give it a border radius of 10 pixels, and let's give it a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Now let's save it and check. It seems still we don't have it. Okay, the styling is not applying, so let's go and check. Okay, accordion is IAN. Okay, accordion, something like this. You can see how it looks like now. Okay, all right. Now I would like us to work on this class. Okay, and to check for the class, we're going to come to the HTML. I will call for this parent ID, which is the accordion. Then I'll call this panel heading. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So we will do accordion, then we call the panel heading. All right, now I'll give it a padding of 0 and border of none, and I'll give it a border radius of 10 pixels. Now let's check. Okay, you can see that it has minimized the heading there. Okay, now we have to locate the anchor link and use it to style the main text here. Okay, so now when it comes to our HTML, now I'll reference the ID, which is the accordion, which is the main. Okay, then I'll reference the panel title here, which is the class. Then I'll reference the anchor link here, which is A. So the code will be hashtag accordion dot panel title then A. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, now I'll give it a display, then I'll say blob. So padding top and bottom and left and right. Let's give it a font size of 20 pixels, and let's give it a font weight. With a font weight, I may change it later, but let's try 600 and see. And the color for the text, let's make it white, and we give it a background, and we give it 34495 yi. Then the border property, let's give it none, and let's position it. Position, we will say relative, and we give it a transition. Okay, let's give the transition effect, and we say all 0.3 seconds, then we call it is 0 second. All right, now before anything, let's save it and check it. I'll save it, head towards the browser, and we are not getting anything, meaning there is an error in the code. Let's go ahead and find out. Now let's read our code well. Accordion.panel title A. So here is fine. So let's go to the HTML. So inside the HTML, let's check our accordion, then panel title. Okay, sorry. The font is coming from here. Panel is not double N. Okay. All right, now let's check it again. Okay, so we have something like this. All right. And it's supposed to affect all the anchor links here. And the reason why it's not affecting all is because we did copy and paste. Therefore, all the mistakes that we made in the panel title, it has affected the rest. So we have to correct them one by one. So you can see from here, panel title, and the next one, panel title, and the last one, panel title. Now let's check it. Let's save it and check. Awesome. Now you can see what we have here. Like I said before, the font weight is not looking awesome. Okay, so we have to do something about it. All right, I can see that things are not accurate here, but we work on that one. Okay, even this image needs to move upward a bit, and here we don't need the underline. We work on this. Now let's work on the pseudo property. Okay, so we are going to use the pseudo property, the after and before. So I'll copy this one. I'll copy this one here, and I'll give this one after. Sorry, I'll give it after like this, and I'll do comma. Then I will call the same thing. Then I'll do dot collapse. I'll call the collapse class. Okay, remember the collapse that we gave to it. Then I'll give it after. Okay, something like this. Okay, all right. So now here I will call content, and I will do double quotes. Then I give it a forward slash. I'm putting some code. Okay, because we are going to call some font awesome. Okay, so I'll give it a code of F0 then 68, something like this. All right, before we check it, here should be collapsed. Okay, collapsed. Now before anything, let's go and check if we apply the collapse class to all the classes. Okay, so I'll come to my HTML, and from here, now we can see that I have the collapse class here. Let me copy it because I don't have it here. The 3, I don't have it here. What about the 4? I don't have it. So 1, okay, I don't have it here too. So 1, 2, okay, I have it here. The anchor, no, not here. You want it here inside the anchor links. Okay, we don't want it here. We want it inside the anchor link, the anchor tag. Okay. All right. So make sure you do the necessary correction. Okay. Especially the collapse. Make sure you give the collapse to all the anchor tags like this. Okay. And let's check it again. Now, when you come to let's check it again. Okay, we don't have the result. Like, we're supposed to get it like this. I think it's not forward slash, it's backward slash. Not like this, I think. So it's not forward slash, it's backward like this. Okay, now let's check it again. And you can see that we have this one. Now the code that we inserted here is for the minus. Okay, it's for this minus. So we see that we have it like this here. All right, to give it, the next thing to do is to give it a font awesome. Remember, you are calling the font awesome. Okay, so we call the font family. Then we give it font awesome. All right, font awesome like this. Now let's check it. You can see that we have our minus. Okay, awesome. All right, now I'll give it a width and a height. Okay, of 40 pixels, and I'll give it a line height. Now the line height will position the text in the middle. Okay, so I'll give it a line height of 32 pixels, and let's give it a border radius of 50, and let's give it a background of 34495E, and let's align the text vertically at the center, and we give the font size of 15 pixels, and we give the font color of white. All right, now let's check it. Okay, all right, you can see that it has been positioned at the middle here. We want this one to come here. We want to move it at the front here, not at the back. All right, now let's put border. Then we give it a 5 pixel, 5. Then we make it solid. Then we change color to white, and we give it a position. Yes, absolute. Then we give it a top of 10 pixels, and the left. Let's give it a negative number of 20 pixels. You give it a transition effect. Okay. So the transition, we can copy this one and bring it here. All right. Now before anything, let's check it. Okay. All right. You can see how it has been positioned. All right. All right, now when we click on the icon, we're supposed to get minus when we click on it, but when it is not clicked, it's supposed to be plus. So let's go ahead and work on that one. And to do that, now I'll use this pseudo property. I'm not going to use the 2, I'll use only this one with the after effect. So here I'll copy it here like this. Now I'll give it a content, and with a double quote, I'll do backward slash. Then I'll give it F067. That is the code. Okay. F067. The first one, the minus is 68, and the plus is 67. Now let's check it. Before editing, let's check it. Awesome, awesome. You can see that when we click on it, it tends to minus. When it is open, it tends to minus, but when it is closed, it tends to plus. All right, nice one. All right, as at now, when we hover over it, we don't get anything. From the original, when we hover over it, we can see that it spins nicely. So let's see how to work on that one, the hover effect. So I'll come here then. What I'll do is that I'll grab this code first. Then I'll paste it. And from here, I will take out the collapse here and the dots. Then I'll give it hover. I'll give it hover like this. Now from here, I'll give it a comma like this. And I'll duplicate the code. So with the second line of code, I will need the dots, collapse, then the hover, something like this. Okay, then I will start it like this. All right, now, so I'll take this out. Then I'll give it a transform. All right, before anything, let's check it in the browser. So when we come here and hover over it, you can see that it spins nicely. Okay. Okay. All right, now the next thing to do is to work with the body section, this place. Okay, we're supposed to give it a background color and also put some margin like this one. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and do that. Now back to our HTML, we can see that we have the panel body here. Okay, so we are going to reference this class in accordance with the main ID. Okay, so the code will be hash accordion, then we reference the panel body. Okay, like this. All right, so now back to our CSS. Now we'll call the ID accordion, then panel body. Now inside, let's give it a padding, bottom, top, and bottom. Let's make it 15. 15 pixels, and left and right will be 25 pixels. We give it a background color of something like gray. And we give it a font size. Let's give it 14 pixels. And we give it a color. This one we do 8C, 8C, 8C. The line height, give it 25 pixels. And border top of none. And position is a relative. All right, now before anything, let's save it and check. Okay, you can see that it's looking awesome. All right. All right, now what we do from here is we have to, the font size is not looking nice at all. We have to work on that one. We have to reduce it and also take off the underline. Okay, the underline here. And then also we have to push this image top a bit. Okay, we are going to do all that and get it more accurate. All right, now let's go ahead and do that. Now, when we head towards the HTML, we first have to reference the panel heading, then our anchor link, okay, or the anchor tag, the A here. So the code will be panel heading, then the A. All right, so here we will do dots panel heading, then A. Now, first, let's remove the underline, okay. So we give it a test declaration, then we say none. All right, so the panel heading is coming from Bootstrap class, so we have to remove all privileges. So we give it an important, okay, something like this. Now, when you save it and check, we can see that we don't have any underline in our code. All right, now we give it a font size of 15 pixels, and we add important to remove all privileges, and also font weight of none. Okay, now let's save it and check. Okay, guys, you can see that our project is looking awesome. I think we are good to go. Now we have to move this image to top. Okay, we have to push it a little bit up, and we have to locate the class. We have to first locate the class that is coming from and do that. So now let's enter into our HTML and find out. So from here at the very down, we can see from here that the class that we set is what? Free image. Then so we reference the free image, then the img, which is the image, img tag. Okay. All right. So we come here, then we do dot free image, then img. All right, now we give it a margin top of negative number of 45 pixels. All right, now let's save it and check it in the browser. And there we go. Awesome, awesome. Congratulations, guys. We did it. Okay, we did it. All right, now it is looking awesome. When you compare it to the original, you can see that we have an accurate work. Okay, same as the original. All right, so that will be all for this section. So till we meet again, keep practicing and happy coding.